I'm going to lead this story, or lead to our first story, which is Tulsi Gabbard. Now, first I want to bring some context into why we're covering this story. Last week, we covered Tulsi Gabbard's Aloha launch, as well as basically addressing the fact that the corporate media, it was running this ridiculous spin on Tulsi Gabbard, saying that she is a Russian campaign agent or that she somehow has ties to Russia, which is ridiculous because that article was debunked thanks to Glenn Greenwald's article from The Intercept, as well as numerous other independent media outlets like ourselves calling out the hypocrisy of the corporate media. But again, because of this, it seems that corporate media still has this ridiculous idea to keep on attacking Tulsi Gabbard. So what I want everyone to realize, especially as we keep on continuing covering this story, is it's quite clear that 2020 is going to be maybe an exact repeat of 2016 in regards to how corporate media is going to be covering progressive candidates. So I want to basically lead this off to Daniel Lupker. You're going to basically hear Daniel yell because this ridiculous article that we're seeing right now just shows just how inept corporate media is, especially when it comes down to covering a progressive candidate like Tulsi Gabbard. What we want is fairness. We want to vet our candidates fairly, but if we're only going to get this one-sided point of view, it's ridiculous, and it's basically sending a lot of misinformation to the American people. So Daniel, take it away, buddy.
So this really got me. We've covered now a few weeks, it's very difficult to deal with this campaign and the people that are running in it the way that we would like, which is a place where we can say, okay, here's a person, here's where we disagree, here's where we agree, let's talk about that. But at the same time, we are a news organization, and our job is to also clear the field and set the tone straight. So I would like to do more even coverage on Tulsi where we talk about issues that we have with her, but alas, I feel like I'm not allowed because we have to roll back so many things that are so inaccurate about her and insinuations that are made, as Kit said, because of the previous election and the result of it. So let's go into it with this one. This is a case where David Duke, the leader of the KKK, the Grand Wizard, whatever his cloak says, has supported Tulsi Gabbard, has a big banner on, I think, his Facebook page saying she's the greatest. Of course, we don't talk about the fact that he did the exact same thing with Hillary Clinton back in the previous campaign, and this same news that's taking this seriously now was saying what a joke this is, he's false flagging, this isn't a real thing, back when it was happening to Hillary. So we're seeing hypocrisy in the news and how this coverage is, that they act one way with one candidate, same set of circumstances, they act a different way with another. So I want to go into this very quickly and explain and just debunk the article from The Independent, and especially in the mainstream media who keeps pushing this Russia, anything right-wing, make Tulsi seem like Trump narrative that they're pushing. And so let's go into it. I think that I can debunk all of this in like one or two sentences. Here we go. Ready? Everyone ready for this? Tulsi Gabbard is a Indian Hindu, and the news is convinced that Tulsi Gabbard, an Indian Hindu, is being supported by a Christian white nationalist whose views and doctrine are anyone that's not white is bad, anyone that's not Christian is bad. Yet the news is convinced wholeheartedly, even though before they weren't with Hillary Clinton, who was white and Christian, that this means a whole lot. David Duke, this guy who we've said we should never take seriously, even though they've let him on the news. I mean, I think David Duke's been on television more than Cenk Uygur has after he went off air from MSN. So just pointing that out there, that they've given him a bit of legitimacy by having him on their show. But this is ridiculous. How can we really have a real discussion about Tulsi when there are all these fires that someone has to put out? Because we can't stand how all the news media is just going along with it like it's a legitimate story. So I think all that we really are dealing with is what the media and the party has learned since 2016. With Bernie last time, they ignored him, and said nothing, which allowed him to define the narrative and come out and almost overtake Hillary Clinton. Whereas this time with Tulsi, they see someone who is anti-war, wants to pull troops out, which the military-industrial complex doesn't like, which the news media doesn't like. Because remember, Trump is never more presidential than when he's launching missiles that don't hit anything, and Americans are still having a private be paid $20,000 a year to shoot a $25,000 one-use guided missile at someone who makes $20 a month. Can't hit him, picks up another, and shoots that. This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a case where Tulsi, I think that we've kind of said enough on the show, like, she's not our first pick, but we think that her views on foreign policy are fantastic, that she wants to end the American empire as it is, and we can make something that's different, something that's better than that fits the 21st century. But instead, we're here explaining something that people with journalism degrees shouldn't have even said, something obvious that the news hasn't cared about before, except when they've let him on TV and legitimized him, has said it's legitimate before when it was under Hillary Clinton, but now, all of a sudden, it means something else with Hillary. I'm not with Hillary, with Gabbard.
So here's my final comments on this, because again, in the second hour, we're going to be talking about Tulsi Gabbard as well. First, how ridiculous is it that the corporate media is actually running this idea that she is, or that Tulsi Gabbard has support of the white nationalist movement? Okay, it's a dumb, stupid attack that's basically going to try, or what they're trying to do is convince voters that, oh, well, maybe Tulsi Gabbard's not the right candidate. Has anyone in the corporate media really done their homework, especially in regards to looking at her policies, her voting record, and what she's done as an individual, especially as a sitting member of Congress? And I want to give a shout out to one of our commentators here. Carl Moss, you said, I think Gabbard did well to confront the interviewers on MSNBC, and you're absolutely correct. But did you notice how the corporate media was still trying to hold their ridiculous defensive position on saying that Gabbard is somehow associated with Russia, that she's somehow associated with all these other dangerous groups? See, the media is not going to learn their lesson. They're not going to back away. They're not going to apologize. So really, right now, the only thing that Tulsi Gabbard can actually take away from this is that we, the independent media networks, from Hardlands Media to Tim Black to Nico House to RT America to Jimmy Dore, what we're going to have to do is do the job that the Fourth Estate cannot do, because articles like this is an insult to every single American. And not to mention, too, I always hear from corporate media, you're supposed to respect the troops, respect anyone who's served. But they're not showing any respect to Tulsi Gabbard. And I don't care who you are, whether you're a Democratic veteran, a Republican veteran, independent, whatever. Basically, we should all be insulted by this, because we deserve full and decent coverage of our candidates, so we know exactly who they are. And again, this is corporate media just trying to control the narrative, and that is what it is.